There's always room for Jell-O. It's the only food that somehow exists in equal abundance at preschools, hospitals, jails, and frat parties. But before it became a college drinking tradition or the mysterious side dish at your grandma's Thanksgiving table, it was a simple, affordable dessert that promised elegance without the effort. So how did this tremulous treat become one of the most popular products in the history of, well, ever? Today, we're shaping up the wobbly history of Jell-O. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, leave us a comment and let us know what other food origins you'd like to hear more about. Okay, time to break the mold. In 1897, in the small town of Leroy, New York, a carpenter named Pearl B. Waite, who also dabbled in cough syrups and laxatives, stumbled upon something unexpected. He and his wife May mixed gelatin with sugar and fruit flavoring, creating a powdered dessert that was easy to prepare. At the time, gelatin was considered a luxury item, requiring hours of boiling animal parts to extract. It was already used in pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and even photography, so naturally, someone had the bright idea to eat it. But instead of the labor-intensive gelatin molds found in high society dining rooms, Waite's version was quick, colorful, and accessible to the everyday household. The result? Jell-O. That name was May's idea, supposedly inspired by a coffee substitute called Graino. The only problem? Nobody cared. Waite spent a year trying to sell Jell-O door to door, but with zero success, he gave up. In 1899, frustrated and out of ideas, he sold the trademark and recipe to his neighbor, orator Frank Woodward, for just $450, unaware that he had just handed over the rights to what would become a multi-million-dollar brand. Woodward took one look at Jell-O and decided it wasn't just some failed kitchen experiment. It was a potential gold mine. But first, he had to make people interested. So, he marketed it like his life depended on it. By 1902, ads started popping up in Ladies' Home Journal, confidently calling Jell-O America's most famous dessert, before most households had even tried it. Free recipe books showed up in homes, packed with creative ways to use Jell-O in everything, from elegant dinners to everyday snacks. Salesmen went store to store, convincing grocers to display Jell-O ads in windows and put it front and center on their shelves. And then there was the Jell-O Girl, introduced in 1904 as the face of the brand, reinforcing the idea that Jell-O was fun, easy, and perfect for families. Woodward believed that once people saw how easy it was to make, they'd start buying it. And it worked. Jell-O was cheap, quick, and looked impressive, which made it a hit with families looking for an affordable indulgence. Advertisements leaned into its elegance, showing that anyone could serve a beautiful dessert. At just 10 cents a box, Jell-O was priced like a loaf of bread, but marketed like a luxury. By 1907, sales had soared past $1 million, and the Genesee Pure Food Company, once a small operation, became the Jell-O Company. The new company immediately got creative with their products. When Pearl and May Waite first launched Jell-O, they kept it simple: strawberry, raspberry, orange, and lemon. Probably because those were the easiest flavors to repurpose from Pearl's medicine business. But once the Genesee Pure Food Company took over, they got ambitious. Within a decade, they added peach, cherry, and chocolate, although chocolate Jell-O turned out to be a terrible idea and was quietly retired in 1927, never to be spoken of again. But the real curveball came with savory Jell-O. When lime flavor hit the shelves in 1930, home cooks got creative. People actually started suspending vegetables, meat, and other questionable items in gelatin. And not as an office prank. Home cooks embraced the idea with open arms. Suddenly, Jell-O salads were everywhere, blurring the lines between dinner and dessert in a way that no one asked for. Entire cookbooks dedicated to lime-flavored gelatin combinations popped up, instructing people to neutralize the artificial sweetness with vinegar before tossing in your meats, vegetable, or fish. Jell-O didn't deserve this. Throughout the decades of taste experiments, the cultural ubiquity continued to rise, and soon everyone knew Jell-O pretty well-o. In 1934, Jell-O became the official sponsor of Jack Benny's radio show, a partnership that helped cement the brand's popularity. This sponsorship also gave the world the now famous Jello jingle, written by bandleader Don Bester, which became instantly recognizable.
Jello.
Then in 1949, Lucille Ball's radio show, My Favorite Husband, the precursor to I Love Lucy, also partnered with Jello, with Ball kicking off each episode with the cheerful greeting, "Jello, everybody!" The connection continued into the 1960s, with cast members from The Lucy Show appearing in Jello commercials, reinforcing the brand's presence on television. During World War II, Jello went from quirky dessert to wartime survival tool. With sugar rationing in full effect, home cooks needed a way to make something sweet without using much sugar, and Jello stepped in like a hero. But why stop at dessert? People started trapping vegetables and leftover meats in gelatin molds as a resourceful way to stretch ingredients, because apparently nothing says resourceful like beef suspended in lime Jello. Advertisements even encourage families to serve Jello as proof that you could still throw a fancy dinner party, even if most of your ingredients had been repurposed from last night's meal. By the 1950s, these culinary experiments had become a sign of domestic excellence. If you wanted to impress your guests, you didn't serve a simple salad. You suspended cabbage, olives, and sometimes tuna in an opaque green gelatin tower and frosted it with mayonnaise. It was food, art, and an unspoken social contract all at once. Jello salads weren't just accepted, they were expected, proving that if you give people enough powdered gelatin, they will cross boundaries the human race was not meant to cross. Embracing the unexpected fad, Jello decided to double down and released savory flavors like tomato, celery, and Italian salad. Oof, imagine going for a bite of cherry Jello and getting a spoonful of tomato. But by the mid-1970s, these flavors were mercifully discontinued, as Jello quietly returned to its rightful place as a dessert, not a questionable side dish. By 1968, Jello was everywhere, but over the next 2 decades, sales declined by about 2% per year. Smaller families, busier lifestyles, and fewer stay-at-home moms meant people weren't making Jello as often. What was once a go-to dessert became an occasional treat, and by the mid-80s, Jello had gone from household staple to forgotten pantry item. Ironically, the once quick dessert now took too long to make. So to boost sales, they turned to one of the most well-liked entertainers in America, Bill Cosby. Florence Henderson did a Jello soft swirl ad in 1972, but when it comes to celebrity endorsements, this era belonged to the Cos. Beginning in 1974, Cosby was the face of Jello for almost 30 years. He pitched Jello to families and kids, launching new products like Jello Pops and prepackaged pudding cups. But the real masterpieces were Jigglers, Wobbly, handheld Jello snacks that revived sales in 1990. Thanks in part to a commercial where Cosby and a bunch of kids ate them at a formal dinner. He also helped introduce sugar-free Jello and, sparkling Jello? Meanwhile, Jello's most famous slogan, "There's always room for Jello," was introduced in 1964 to convince people that gelatin is so light you can cram it in even after stuffing yourself with an entire meal. It became so ubiquitous, it even made it into Ghostbusters 2 25 years later.
Oh, come on, there's always room for Jello.
Jello might not be America's most famous dessert anymore, but it's still everywhere, whether you realize it or not. 99% of Americans recognize the brand, which is a level of awareness usually reserved for presidents or Phase 1 Marvel characters. Think about it. Nobody asks for a gelatin snack. You ask for Jello, whether or not what you end up eating is a Jello product. Sort of how like we say, "Let me Xerox that for you," or "I need a Q-tip," or "Give me a Band-Aid. I tripped over the Xerox machine and lodged a Q-tip in my ear." Jello has become the almost universal shorthand for wobbly desserts. Sales may have dipped since the 1960s, but Jello isn't struggling. $688 million in sales in 2022, and over 1 billion Jello cups sold every year means there's still plenty of room for it. These days, Jello is less about family dinners and more about hospital trays, school lunch food fights, questionable party decisions involving vodka. But despite the weird associations, Jello isn't going anywhere. It's still a go-to lunchbox snack. Its powdered form remains insultingly easy to prepare, and Utah loves it so much they made it the official state snack in 2001. In fact, Utah's Mormon corridor was once called the Jello Belt because of how much they consume. While the classics like cherry, lime, and strawberry are still holding strong, Jello has also ventured into modern flavors like berry blue, mango, and blueberry pomegranate. There are even seasonal flavors, so if you've ever dreamed of margarita-flavored Jello without the tequila, hey, it exists! And for the sugar-conscious among us, there's a sugar-free version. But don't expect another mayonnaise-filled Jello salad revolution. Innovation has slowed down a bit, although some notable products include jelly cakes, which are basically edible gelatin art, and the return of jigglers, because nothing says nostalgia like Jello you can eat with your hands. So why does Jello still dominate? Brand recognition, marketing, and the fact that no one else even tried to compete with them. Jello was the first big name in gelatin, and it marketed itself so aggressively that it became the gelatin snack and managed to stay relevant thanks to instant pudding, pre-made cups, and Utah, which eats more of it than anyone. So no matter what your favorite flavor is, Jello is going to be there for you for years to come. But those savory meat molds aren't coming back anytime soon. So what do you think? Do you still enjoy Jello products? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out some of these other weird history food videos.